This is an Eagle, preparing to deliver justice to the enemies of humanity. I tested and tried all 7 variants of this stratagem to let you know both which is best, but more importantly, which is coolest. Because who really cares about meta? These are Super Earth's equivalent of normal Earth's A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft, or Warthogs as they're more commonly known. You'll know these distinctly by the menacing sound they make when firing, especially if you're a Warzone or Call of Duty fan. In Helldivers, they're a hardy and dependable air-to-ground combat vehicle, able to use a large variety of munitions. But before we take a look at each one, we need to go over how you can upgrade the Eagle to boost its combat power. You can upgrade this via the ship management terminals on your ship, where you'll find free upgrades for this stratagem under the Hangar tab. They have quite funny lore tidbits attached to them as well, so let's go through them. The first is Liquid Ventilated Cockpit, which reduces our refresh cooldown after each use by 50%, which is 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Mentioning it fills the cockpit with a breathable liquid that absorbs G-forces, so they're able to make sharper turns without passing out. It's important to note that if you have more than one Eagle Stratagem equipped, they will all share the same refresh cooldown after each use, as your ship only has one fighter after all. Secondly, we have Pit Crew Hazard Pay. Because it's a cost of living crisis during this galactic war, these workers know their worth and ain't packing anything extra without the Wonga in hand. This reduces the rearm time by 20%, taking the cooldown from 2 minutes 30 to 2 minutes, a 30-second reduction, which is huge as we'll want these back and usable again as fast as possible. 30 seconds might not seem much, but how long is that 30 seconds when you're down to the wire on the extraction? Feels like an age, doesn't it? And finally, we have Expanded Weapons Bay, where the pilot is starting to experience the crunch of the wartime efforts, as we'll be trimming down their leg space to fit more munitions in the Eagle. This increases the number of uses per rearm by 1. And yes, that even means you'll get 2 uses of the 500 kg. These are all going to be super useful if you're a fan of the Eagle Stratagem, so get gathering those samples so you can upgrade as soon as possible. Right, we have quite a few to get through, so I'll try not to stall too much here. Starting off with the Strafing Run, which is our cheapest, most simple strike, utilising the giant Gatling cannon on the nose of the fighter to throw a linear barrage of bullets. This is really good for clearing an area of trash or weak enemies, but still deals a respectable amount of damage to medium targets. Coming in at 3 uses in total, putting it at 2nd place for those. This is the only Eagle Stratagem without the explosive traits, and it looks and sounds awesome when it happens, so it gets a solid 7 on the coolometer. Figured I'd rate them. Next up we have the Airstrike, which is our run-of-the-mill carpet bombing strike. This is great for clearing a large area of enemies, including armoured targets such as automaton tanks. It's a middle ground between the cluster bombs and the 500 kg, which we'll cover as we go on, but it just means it has such great utility. It comes in at 2 uses, so it's joint 3rd for those, and it looks absolutely awesome as well when it rains down, so I think it deserved an 8 on the all cool meter. Then we come to the Cluster Bomb, which is very similar to the Airstrike, except it trades raw damage for twice as many usages. It does extremely good damage to small and medium targets with a respectable amount of damage to larger targets. Due to the area it covers and considering the damage it can do, this makes the Strafing Run obsolete, especially considering it has the most uses of all the Eagle Stratagems, making it one of the best to choose. I think another 8 for the coolometer suits it quite well here. The Napalm Airstrike comes in at a mediocre pick. Fire damage to enemies needs some tweaks to increase its potency in the game generally. Even if the damage over time stacks dependent on how long a unit spent in or was afflicted by fire, that would be quite good. But anyway, this airstrike is identical to the standard airstrikes, except obviously it uses napalm munitions instead of normal explosives. It deals a good damage to small units and a respectable amount of damage to medium units, as well as slowing them in their tracks. But it can't destroy buildings unlike the standard airstrike, placing it under the cluster bomb in usability. And it's generally not quite as good as the cluster bomb at killing those medium small targets, so it's lower down on the ratings there. But it looks absolutely awesome, as I've said multiple times at this point, so for me it gets an 8.5 for aesthetic. Just seeing that pit of burning fire really just brings something to the heart, doesn't it? Now we come to the least used Eagle Stratagem of the bunch, the Smoke Strike. This does exactly what it says on the tin, deploys a carpet of smoke in the area, which is amazing for blocking enemy line of sight and reducing accuracy, but it remains an extremely niche pick that not many people are going to go for. And in comparison to the others, it doesn't look quite as cool, because, you know, explosions equals cool. So I think a 6 is respectable here, at least in my opinion. I have mixed feelings when it comes to the 110mm rocket pods. On one hand, they're really good at targeting a specific threat, as the strike aims for the largest target within the strike zone. But on the other hand, the damage is only okay and you only get 2 uses. To top it all off, it looks really boring in comparison to the others on the list, so a solid 3 or 4 for aesthetics, and definitely not one to pick up in my opinion. And finally, we have made it to the Moab of the Eagle's arsenal, the mother of all bombs, the 500kg bomb. Off the bat, this thing looks bloody epic. 10 out of 10 for visuals instantly. What a beautiful sight it is. There's nothing in the game that this thing won't obliterate from existence. Bile Titans, no problem. Hulks, no problem. Buildings, no problem. The only drawback is its one use only. But then when you consider the fact you get it back if you rearm, increasing that to twice if you have the upgrade, its cooldown then becomes not far off of some orbital strikes. This bomb is divine, S tier. It defines liberty and democracy in the galactic war Super Earth faces. With that all said and done, here's my tier list solely for all the Eagle strikes, not taking into consideration anything else in the game. The 500kg and cluster bomb taking S tier with the airstrike in A. Napalm Airstrike sits in B tier with the Strafing Run and the 100mm pods in C. I put the smoke at the bottom simply due to how niche it is. I fully understand it can be incredible though, but it's just too niche. Do you agree or disagree with this judgment? Drop your opinions down below. And here's my coolness leaderboard. The 500kg taking the top spot as we all expected, which really just kind of show bigger explosion equals more fun. Just to quickly touch on what I use in my loadouts when I'm going full Eagle mode, usually because I pick one support weapon and a shield at the moment, because you know the shield is, or at least feels like a must pick a lot of the time in Helldiver difficulty. I go for the cluster bomb and the airstrike, or if you have the upgrade like I do now, I go for the 500kg bomb, because rearming and having 2 of them is just way too good to pass up, honestly. So yeah, if you have the upgrade, pick the 500 and the clusters. The clusters are just such a great all-rounder that clear out such a large field of enemies that you really cannot go wrong with them. Especially because they have so many uses, and with the upgrade you have 5 of them. But the standard airstrike is also perfect to use, as it clears out most of the things you need it to, including buildings, making it great to clutch those secondary objectives. And one last tip is, if you have excellent stratagem orb aim, you can actually tag units so they will strike a specific target. Let me know if you enjoyed this format. Mechs are coming, so it could be cool to get a video like this out for those, and there is of course the rest of the stratagem in the game. Drop a subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.